The snow had already swallowed most of the road when he finally stopped the truck, engine ticking like a nervous heartbeat in the silence. The cabin stood ahead of him, hunched and patient, its thatched roof dusted white as if time itself had been settling there for decades. An ex-Navy SEAL who had survived gunfire, explosions, and loss that never truly healed now felt something far heavier pressing on his chest. This was not fear in the way he had known fear before. This was the weight of inheritance, of unfinished stories, and of a past that refused to stay buried. He had come because the letter told him the cabin was his now. What it did not tell him was that stepping into this place would crack open everything he had spent years trying to keep sealed. Before the story pulls you deeper into this frozen moment, take a second right now. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of loyalty that can change a life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. He had left the military 2 years earlier, carrying medals in a box and memories he never unpacked. The world called him a hero, but nights were long and crowded with echoes. His K9 partner, a disciplined German shepherd who had once detected explosives and saved entire units, was the only constant that survived the transition to civilian life. The dog moved beside him now with the same steady awareness, ears alert, breath calm, as if this lonely clearing in the woods was just another mission zone. The grandfather he barely knew had lived out here alone for years, a man who had vanished from family gatherings and conversations long before death finally claimed him. When the lawyer read the will, the cabin was mentioned as an afterthought, almost an inconvenience. Yet something in the old man's handwriting, something in the way the letter felt heavy even before it was opened, had pulled him here. The cabin was older than it looked, built from stone and timber that had weathered more winters than anyone could count. Stacked firewood lined the walls with obsessive neatness, and thin smoke still curled from a small outdoor stove, as if someone had left only hours ago. That detail unsettled him more than the isolation. He had been told the cabin was abandoned. Inside, warmth lingered faintly, not enough to be comfortable, but enough to suggest recent life. The door creaked open to reveal a single room washed in amber light from a fire burning low in a stone hearth. The contrast between the brutal cold outside and the quiet shelter within made his throat tighten. It felt like crossing an invisible line between worlds. As he stepped inside, memories stirred without permission. His grandfather had been a soldier once too, though no one talked much about it. Family stories painted him as stern, distant, almost unkind. As a child, he had feared the man's silence more than anger. Now, standing in this cabin, he realized silence could also be a shield, something built to protect others from pain. The walls were lined with shelves filled not with books, but with carefully labeled boxes. Dates. Locations. Names. The same precision he had learned in the teams was everywhere here, as if his grandfather had been preparing for inspections that would never come. The K9 moved ahead, sniffing, tail low but steady. There was no threat, yet the dog's posture shifted with curiosity, even recognition. That was strange. The men followed, boots heavy on the wooden floor, until he noticed a photograph pinned above a rough table. It showed his grandfather much younger, standing beside another soldier and a military dog that looked uncannily similar to his own. The resemblance was not just in the breed, but in posture, in the alert intelligence shining through the animal's eyes. A chill ran through him that had nothing to do with winter. His partner sat abruptly, staring at the photo, letting out a low sound that hovered between confusion and familiarity. The discovery unraveled him slowly. Box after box revealed journals written in a careful, disciplined hand. They spoke of missions long before his own service, of operations that never made it into official records, of a bond between a man and a dog forged under circumstances too dangerous to describe plainly. His grandfather had not retreated into isolation because he was bitter or broken. He had retreated to protect something, or someone. Page after page hinted at a promise made after a mission went wrong, a promise to safeguard knowledge that could hurt people if exposed. The cabin was not an escape. It was a watch post. Days passed as he stayed, unable to leave. Snow deepened, cutting him off from the nearest town, and the cabin became a world unto itself. Each morning he fed the fire, trained with his K9 in the clearing, and read more of the journals. Each night he dreamed less of gunfire and more of forests, of quiet footsteps, of loyalty passed down like an inheritance more meaningful than land. For the first time since leaving the military, his breathing slowed. His mind stopped scanning for threats that no longer existed. The dog slept more soundly too, curled near the hearth as if this place answered a need neither of them had known how to name. One afternoon, while clearing snow from behind the cabin, he found a trapdoor hidden beneath a wooden platform. It was heavy, reinforced, and marked with symbols that made his pulse quicken. Inside was a small underground room, dry and meticulously organized. There were maps, old equipment, and one final sealed box with his name written on it. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside lay a letter addressed to him, written years before he had ever joined the Navy. His grandfather had known. He had seen the same restlessness, the same sense of duty, and he had prepared for this moment. The letter explained everything. The family line had carried service not as a tradition, but as a responsibility. Each generation, someone was chosen not to fight endlessly, but to know when to stop. The cabin was meant for that person, a place to learn that strength was not only measured in endurance, but in the ability to heal. His grandfather had watched him from afar, proud yet unwilling to interfere. He had left the cabin so that when the battles finally caught up with him, there would be somewhere safe to land. Tears came without warning, hot and relentless. He had not cried when friends were buried, nor when he himself had been wounded. But here, in this quiet underground room, grief and gratitude collided. The K9 pressed close, a steady weight, grounding him. He realized then that his partner was not just a survivor of war, but part of a lineage of loyalty that transcended orders and ranks. The dog's presence was not coincidence. It was continuation. Spring arrived slowly, almost reluctantly. Snow melted into mud, and the forest breathed again. He repaired the cabin with care, not to modernize it, but to honor what it had been. Locals from the nearby village began to visit, curious at first, then grateful. He helped fix fences, trained search dogs for emergencies, and offered quiet assistance without explanation. Word spread not of a soldier, but of a man who listened, who showed up when needed, who understood loss without asking anyone to name it. If you felt something stir as this story unfolds, if the idea of healing through purpose resonates with you, please pause for a moment near the end and engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let others find this story too if it has touched your heart. Years later, the cabin no longer felt strange. It felt earned. On certain evenings, when the fire burned low and the forest grew still, he would sit with his K9 at his side and read the journals again, not as secrets, but as reminders. He had not escaped his past. He had integrated it. The shock of what he found inside the cabin was not hidden weapons or dangerous truths, but permission. Permission to rest. Permission to live. Before this story closes, I ask one more special thing from you. Please leave a comment sharing what this story meant to you, or even just a single word that captures how it made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. The cabin remained, solid and quiet, holding warmth against the cold just as it always had. And within it lived a man and a dog who had finally found a mission that did not require sacrifice, only presence.